Now that Sonic Frontiers has been out for a while, we're able to look at certain aspects of the game that we wouldn't really look at a first playthrough. An aspect of the game that I personally was very curious about was the animation of the game. How he runs, how he fights, how the cutscenes look, everything. Today, we're going to be getting into all of it, so sit tight, and let's get into it. When it comes to cutscenes, I think it's an improvement, but also not really. I remember in the cutscene where Sonic first found Giganto, people were really happy that his eyebrows were actually moving up and down, which yes, that does look really good. Aspects of that I do like, and even right after that, they make him scuttle his legs a little bit before he takes a big jump forward. Stuff like that is really good. And even when he's talking to Tails on Chaos Island, his eyebrows, his muzzle, his ears, they're all moving to feel very sympathetic towards Tails. But then you have this cutscene with Knuckles where he just slides across the ground. How? And there are some times in the game where the lip syncing doesn't really work, and I think on the 5th island in particular, the animation really does take a hit until the last cutscene. With all of that in mind, the animation in Frontiers isn't bad, but then Sonic Prime came out just a couple weeks later, and that really just showed me that these characters could be expressing themselves so much more, and I don't want to hear the excuse of, oh, it's a serious story, it doesn't need to have expressive animations. So I really don't understand these cutscenes in Frontiers where two characters are just standing next to each other and talking, and they hardly move. They don't really blink. They feel very awkward. I think the main reason that people say that Frontiers has really good animation isn't actually because of the animation, but the camera angles. Throughout one line of dialogue in Frontiers, the camera angle can change multiple times. Because of that, the animations themselves feel a lot more cinematic. Which, hey, that actually works in making Frontiers look good, and it also feels good. But once you start to notice that they just keep on changing the camera angle, it just ends up looking stale, and the awkward animation becomes that much more apparent. So overall, animation and cutscenes isn't too bad in Frontiers, but there is still a lot of work to be done. And with that out of the way, we move on to gameplay. Sonic's running animation is the same one from Forces, which I now notice has a bit of a flaw to it. When Sonic is running, not boosting, his head never really moves. Like he doesn't really have an up and down bobbing motion to his head. That, along with the cutscenes, already makes him feel pretty stiff. However, when Sonic is boosting, if you make a hard left or right turn in a circle, Sonic is actually going to look in that direction as he turns there, which really makes him feel like he's peeling away towards that part of it. It's a really small detail, but it feels amazing to run around in a circle in Frontiers because of it. His jumping animation is also the same one from Forces, but in Frontiers, he's lost the squash and stretch of the original jump. However, it does reappear when you do the drop dash. Overall, his jump still looks pretty decent. Could be better, but could be worse. His quick step, on the other hand, still doesn't look too great. When you do the quick step, there isn't a blur effect anymore. He just shuffles to the left or right a little bit. And like, that would be fine if it didn't look so awkward. His leg just sticks out to the left or right, and his arms don't move from behind him. It looks so stiff. I don't know why. It just doesn't look good. The returning stomp attack, however, is really good. The way he stretches his leg really far down so that he can really feel the impact when he finally hits the ground, and when he presses the stomp button on the ground, he'll slide forward, which again, that does look good. The only thing left in his normal moveset is the Psy Loop, which isn't really an animation, more so an effect. Sonic gets this cyan color outline around him, and then when you run forward, this blue trail with pink pixels will follow you, which I never noticed until playing Frontiers, but that color combination is gorgeous. I am always ready to use the Psy Loop just because it looks so beautiful. And now we move on to the combat of the game, and just like the rest of the game, it's very hit or miss. So Sonic's basic 1-2 hit combo. It looks okay. They purposely made this animation so if he's in the air or on the ground, it'll look the exact same, which, yes, that's smart on the developers, but it comes off as very lazy because he's kind of just awkwardly throwing his arm forward, and then his leg forward, and then his arm forward. It doesn't feel very dynamic because he just looks the exact same, and he looks very stiff in it. One good, however, is the visual effect of when he does hit someone, there's a bunch of sparks that fly out from beside his fist. That looks good. They even use squash and stretch to make sure his arms and legs look bigger. So again, could be better, but it could be worse. For some reason, after Sonic Lost World, Sonic just completely stopped doing trick animations after homing attacks. Or well, he does, but it's the same one every single time. In Frontiers, all he does is a backward somersault, and that's it. There's no flair to it, he just hits, and you can't even move when he does this backflip, you just have to watch. So I think the homing attack in this game is not too great, not gonna lie. And Phantom Rush, it could look so cool, but all the animations when he actually hits look so stiff and awkward. If this move was in a game with better animation, it would look and feel amazing, but as it is, it looks fine, it feels fine, but every time I use it, I just want to feel something better. At least it has a cool fade out effect when Sonic is hitting and then disappearing and then hitting and disappearing. Like, it's cool, I like it. It could be a lot better though. The Sonic Boom attack. I'm starting to notice a pattern with a lot of these animations. They look cool, but when you really actually look at it, you'll notice how stiff it really is. Like, when I first saw this, I thought, holy shit, this looks badass. But when you look at Sonic, his leg is like stuck in one position as he swings it across his body. The other leg does the same thing. Then again, like, It looks awkward when you see it in slow motion, but when you're actually watching it in the game, it actually does look pretty good. I like this one. I wish it was better though. Okay. Editor's note. I'm gonna be a little bit nicer to the animations, just a little bit. Okay. Moving on. The quick slide loop. I think this is a pretty smart animation because it uses the air dash animation while Sonic spins around the enemy, which I think is a very creative way of reusing an animation. Because we all know this game, it has to reuse a lot of stuff. But if you're gonna reuse something, doing it smart, which is like this, I think was a good move. I actually really like using this one. Up next is the Wild Rush, which actually looks pretty cool. Sonic flies backwards and then he starts spinning towards the enemy as a black and blue aura follows him as he spins towards the enemy. I think it's cool how Sonic zigzags towards them, that looks neat, and even the aura that they have around Sonic feels unique. I've never really seen like a black color associated with Sonic when he's doing an attack. The homing shot, I'm not gonna lie, is pretty bad. Sonic literally just stays in the singular animation as a bunch of, I don't know, energy balls all around him fly toward the enemy. Like, how is Sonic doing this? Is he like telepathically shooting them for? I don't know. It's not a great animation. It could be a lot better. I don't know why they didn't make him like, I don't know, he could have like stuck his hand forward for each of the balls going forward. I don't know. Again, it feels really stiff, like more than anything else, because he literally just stays there. Time is like frozen when he does it. It's weird. I don't know. Needs some work. Next up is the Spin Slash, and I think this one is pretty good, but it's not amazing. I actually think that my biggest problem with it is that it's really slow. Once you actually activate this move, Sonic takes a while to actually move towards the enemy, bounce off, then he actually does the attack, which it looks cool and sounds cool, but it just takes so long. Thankfully, you can dodge out of it at any time to make it go by faster, but it doesn't help that there's a move that's very similar to this that I think is a lot better than this. Next up, I think is actually my favorite attack in the game, the Loop Kick. I'm not sure why, but when Sonic circles back around, it feels so fluid, and the way he extends his leg out while forcing the rest of his body backwards, like that pose right there, that looks so good to me. I don't know why, but Sonic, they perfectly animated Sonic to look good doing this kick. And then this huge aura goes around his foot as he blasts towards the enemy, and when you finally hit the enemy, it's like, it feels powerful, man. Next up is the Recovery Slash, or Grand Slam. They're both basically the same animation. You press, I'm on Switch, the X and A button at the same time, and then Sonic does this buzzsaw move towards the enemy. He drills into them, flies backwards, the screen goes slow motion, and he delivers a solid fucking kick to them. When I first saw this, oh my god, I thought it was like the coolest shit ever. It feels so good, like the sound effect of when he drills into them, that's good. This is another really outstanding move. Next up, the Cyclone Kick. Next up, the Cyclone Kick. You hold down the left button, and Sonic spins around the enemy, dealing a bunch of damage to them with wind, electricity, all of that. This move is simple, and even though Sonic is in one singular pose the whole time, at least the way that he rotates around the enemy with all the wind effects around him does look really cool. Back when we got the IGN trailers for the game, and we saw this move, it looked completely different, and it looked way worse. There wasn't really any effects around Sonic when he was doing this move, and he was stuck in this really bad pose. He was like facing the wrong way. His leg was up in the air. I don't know what this was or why they thought it was good. But anyways, they cleaned up big time, and I really like this move. And at the end, we have the Cross Slash, where Sonic leans back, throws his arms and legs forwards, and he shoots the same projectiles that he had in the Sonic Boom, right at the enemy. I think I like this one a bit more than Sonic Boom because of his pose, as well as the fact that he's actually moving as he's doing this. How he's moving, I have no goddamn clue. He's just going to the left, throwing these beams at the enemy. It looks cool, I like it, very anime. I'm just kind of in shock that Sonic can do these things. Like when did he learn to do all this stuff? Like for every single move, actually, I'm just gonna make this the what is it called? The conclusion. When did Sonic learn to do all of this stuff? Like, it's crazy seeing him do stuff that like he's never been able to do before. And he does it like with so much power and force on like a couple in particular. The Grand Slam, that feels amazing. The Loop Kick, my personal favorite one, yeah. So yeah, overall, animation and Frontiers, big step up in the, I guess the combat, even though it's never really been done in a Sonic game. I prefer it to Unleashed, I'd say, like compared to the Werehog. What I don't prefer to Unleashed is the cutscene animation. I still think Unleashed wins in that department, but Frontiers is a good effort. However, I am really hoping that the next game can be a lot better. With what we have right now, it's not bad, but we need to beat Sonic Unleashed. It's been, what, 15 years since that game came out, so like, it's really overdue. With that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.